Hello and welcome back to the Nest and Inside the Iggles live show. Thank you guys very much for joining me. We are here today to talk to you about your 3-0 Philadelphia Eagles coming off of a Monday night game, not the Monday night game, but a Monday night game where they went down to Raymond James Stadium in Tampa and thumped the Buccaneers to the tune of 25-11 was the final score. And to be honest with you, man, it wasn't that close. It was not that close. There was a little bit of a I'll call it a garbage time adjacent score there at the end that brought the Bucs up to that 11 points. But the first half was kind of marred by some inefficiency in the red zone by the Eagles. It was just a cacophony of blunders. Call it a poor quarterback play or poor play calling, whatever it was. But everything really turned around there because guess what? You can't be bad in the red zone if you just score from outside of the red zone. And that's when everybody's two initialed their favorite receiver, none other than Olamide Zacchaeus, OZ, with a absolutely gorgeous 34-yard touchdown reception from Jalen Hurts while he's standing in the pocket, collapses and takes a big shot. Gorgeous ball, gorgeous touchdown. That's when everything really kind of kicked off with the defense there shortly thereafter, getting their ball moving with Ed Reed Blankenship, a chalk dock ghost, whatever you want to call him, comes screaming across the field, forces Baker Mayfield's first interception as a Buccaneer. A couple drives later, we get Jalen Carter absolutely falcon punching the ball out of Rashid White's hands to give the Eagles short field and a field goal going into halftime. They come out of halftime. We get news that Jalen Hurts has a poopy butt, or however you want to translate the phrase, flu-like symptoms. That's how I choose to do it. But it wasn't on him at that point, because then DeAndre Swift is in his run the piss out of the ball era, baby. And he did just that. 130 yards, I believe it was on 16 carries, put the team on his back. The guy's an animal. Second 100-yard rushing game in a row. I believe I heard that he only had 4 at his time in Detroit. The Eagles defense kept it going too. There's a bad pick. Call it a bad pick. There's a pick. We'll call it a pick off of Jalen Hurts near the end zone. The defense says, no, and none other than the green dot. Everybody knows him. Everybody loves him. Personally, I've never said a bad thing about him, but Nicholas Morrow with the safety really just seals the game. Eagles end it with a 9-minute drive to really just milk away the entirety of the clock. And that's where we are, baby. Your Philadelphia Eagles are 3-0. We got a divisional game next week, but let's talk about this game. Guys, I'm going to bring in my co-hosts. We got Jeffrey Knox. We've got Travis Williams. And last but not least, we've got Jalil Williams, his twin brother. How are you guys doing today?
What's up, man? What's up? Great. 3-0. 3-0.
Spectacular,
Tuesday, baby.
Spectacular. 3-0, like Jeff said, like you said. Oh, man, I'm just ready to talk birds, baby. Let's get it.
Oh, yeah. How you doing, Travis?
I'm doing good. 3-0. That's all you need to say.
Love to hear it. Let's just talk in general. How do you feel now after this game? Just general vibe check. You personally, I just want to know how everybody's at mentally.
Vibe check for me, man. First things first, like, so I got to sit here and run these social media accounts and everything all game long and everything, and I got to listen to all the panic and the anxiety through every single second of this game, man. And it's just like, it's got to be these young Eagles fans, man. You guys couldn't have lived through the Buddy Ryan era. You couldn't have been there for Rich Coach side. You got to be a little spoiled by Andy Reid and what you saw last year. But we're 3-0, man. Like, my story, like, okay, so Rondé Barber gets honored last night, which is the funny thing. Take it back to the 2003 championship game. Last game at Veterans Stadium, the Eagles lay an egg. Everybody's depressed. And I'm in Knoxville, Tennessee at the time, and one of my cousins called me. He's in Chickies and Pete's. And 2 members of the Eagles walk in. Can't say their names because I don't even know if I'm supposed to be telling this story. They walk in, they got their ladies with them. He says two of the finest women he thinks he's seen in Philadelphia. They're having the ball, they're laughing. And he looked at me and he sat there and said, man, he called me up and he said, dude, I've been depressed about this game for the last 2 hours. I'm walking around in this restaurant trying to find something to eat. Don't feel like I want to eat and everything. And these guys come in, they're having the ball. So I sit here and say to myself, you know what? I'm never getting stressed about the Eagles game again. Like these dudes, this is their job. You go to your job, you have a bad day at work. You know, you don't let that wreck the rest of your life. These guys, almost 48 hours after losing this NFC Championship game in the last game of the vet to the Buccaneers, are having a ball. And we walk around the press. I agree with him. I said at that point, man, I'm never going to sit up here and go up and down on these roller coasters, this emotional thing. I love this team just as much as anybody, but I'm not going to go crazy at this. And if you're an Eagles fan watching this who keeps hitting us up every single day to tell us about every incompletion that Jalen Hurts throws, every time the offense stalls, we can't force a punt and get off the field on third down. It's ebbs and flows in the game, man. And I'm not really going to ride this emotional roller coaster with you. You got to remember, before 4th and 26, that game started out 14-0 in favor of Green Bay. There was a sack, which made it 3rd and 26. Donovan McNabb throws an incomplete pass. If we would have been watching Twitter there, I'm pretty sure you'd have had everybody cursing and then exulting over the joy that came about 30 seconds later. I can't do it. I'm feeling good. And 3-0 is 3-0. I understand there are things to clean up. And I know I'm talking too damn much right now. But there are things to clean up, and that's just a journey of football, and that's just how it works, man. I am not going to stress out about each and every aspect of this game. I'm just glad we're 3-0, and it's better to fix things when you got 3 wins to start the season than to be 0-3. Yep. That's how I feel.
Very good to be stacking the wins early on. What about you, Ja and Travis?
Travis?
I mean, maybe those players that your cousin saw at Chicks and Pete's didn't care, because they weren't from Philly. But you see a guy like DeAndre Swift, who's from Philly, grew up an Eagles fan. You can tell he took that last loss at the vet a little too seriously. I mean, he runs with a passion. He's a guy who plays like he wants to be here, and it's nice to see all these new additions to the Eagles. You see DeAndre Swift balling out, Jalen Carter's balling out, and it's nice when your young core of players are the highlight of the team, because it's just, you don't have to worry about contracts. You don't have to worry about salary caps. You can just enjoy the next couple of years of watching them get better. That's my biggest takeaway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, excuse me, fellas. I'm starting to get some allergies going on. Weather's changing down here in Texas, so my voice might, kind of. I've been doing a lot of throat clearance, so just bear with me. But I'm feeling great. I'm excited. I'm happy. I'm elated. Like we talk about optimistic prime, let me tell you a little something about that. And so it's funny what you talk about with the emotions, Jeff, and not wanting to go on the emotional roller coaster. I try, but that's this optimism thing is partly a strategy because I am an emotional person. So I have to direct my thoughts into a more positive fashion to keep myself up here. That way I don't go on that roller coaster. But I get excited very easily when I watch football games, whether it's the Eagles or it's just another football game, because I told y'all, football Sundays, I'm just locked in all day. And if something exciting is going on, I'm not even sitting down anymore. I'll stand up. I'll stand up for like 30 minutes straight, after something exciting happens in the football game, just dialed in. So that's kind of how I operate. So 3-0, I'm feeling great. I think the fact that we just won against a 2-0 team by 14 points while still looking like we have things to clean up is a great sign. So I'm ready for the season to keep rolling, baby.
That's one of the greatest things about that is that we were sitting here on Friday, I think it was. We're sitting here on Friday. We're like, how is this offense going to move the ball on the ground against a Todd Bowles defense with Vita Vea, who I guess was in this game? I didn't hear him. I guess Vita Vea plays for the Buccaneers. But sure enough, dude, they cooked.
So this is what I'm saying, man. So I ain't mean to cut you off, Jason. This is what I'm looking at. So This is why you can't draw off the deep end every time something happens. Like, y'all got to remember, now, I know I look like I'm 25, but I'm a lot older than you guys are. I watched the Joe Carter home run against the Phillies. I cried over that. I remember the 1980 Super Bowl. I cried. I remember the Fog Bowl. I saw the Fog Bowl. My father was getting a haircut, and I was in there watching the game, and nobody could see what was going on. That's all the discussion was. I can't go even up and up. So last night I'm sitting there, and everybody's sitting there telling me how bad Jalen Hurts is and how we need a new quarterback and all these other things and how this team sucks. And then, John, Travis, I went to the stats, and I looked at it. We had 472 yards of offense.
Yeah. They kept flashing that in the bottom of the screen.
Down. They were 2 or 3 on fourth down. They had held this team that sucks like a week ago. They had held the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Mike Evans and everybody to 174 total yards. That's the best it's ever been in the Nick Sirianni era. So I'm like, it's things are going to happen during the course of a game and stuff. I get it. Nobody wants this team to win more than me. When we lost the Super Bowl, I can promise you I sat there in dead silence. I didn't watch the celebration. I cut the TV off and I just sat there in the dark. But ebbs and flows, man. It's one thing when you watch the body bag game and then 3 weeks later you watch them get throttled by that same Washington football team in the vet. Can't do it, won't do it, not gonna do it. But yeah, I'm looking at it and I'm like, this team looks a lot better than everybody tells me they are. And if this is struggling 472 yards of offense, I'll take it. I would take it.
Now, I think to be fair, the ebbs and flow. I mean, the griping is justified. So let's kind of talk about it going into the flow of this game. So the Buccaneers get the ball first. Kind of some missed throws. Was that the Mike Evans dropping the ball that went over Darius Slay's head that he should have picked off? I think that was on the first drive. Eagles kind of lucked out there. They get the ball back. All right. They kind of scoot down the field. It's a 7-play drive. They get into the red zone. And then, buddy, it just falls flat. What are we kind of putting this on? Is this play calling? I know I texted Ja when that happened. I was like, you're Kenny Gain. Like, I love Kenny Gainwell, but I hate the idea of Kenny Gainwell. I hate that they're doing this to me. What is there?
Kenny Gainwell, to me, again, like I said before. Okay, maybe I went a little too far when I said put him on the shelf in a break in case of emergency, but he needs to be relegated to the backup role, not a running back by committee role where now it's the second quarter and it's just like the Kenny Gainwell show. That shouldn't be a thing, right? You bring him in to spell DeAndre Swift when he's tired, when he's been in there for a while, give him a couple of plays here and there, use him to close games out when, the games are in hand and we want to save the health of DeAndre Swift. Like, just bringing him in the second quarter for multiple possessions and just having him as the kind of quasi lead back during that stretch is just not the proper use of his talents. And it gets it to a point where it makes me say those things like put him in a breaking case of emergency position where it's kind of like I'm talking down on Kenneth Gainwell when it's not his fault that the coaches are making the decisions to play him and put him in the position to make me and others look at him like, why? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not his fault. Just use him how he should be used, and it'll be fine because he is a good and solid back. But the talent disparity between Swift and Gainwell is it's a chasm. You know what I'm saying? It's large. It's obvious. So just do what should be done, and everything will be fine on that front. Just strictly addressing the running back thing.
It seems like they didn't use him as much as I thought that they would use him in this game, because you said running back by committee, and I don't know if it necessarily was that, because to me it sure seemed a whole lot like DeAndre Swift as RB1, and then Kenny Gainwell came in there because DeAndre Swift had how many yards and how many attempts and touches that he had in those first handful of drives. To me, that when Kenny Gainwell comes in the second quarter or whenever those drives were, it sure seemed a lot like, to me, that was put your, like in basketball, put your starters on the bench and bring them in for the fourth quarter to close it out. It might have just been a rest thing for him, but
well, real quick, to me, what it felt like is they tried the Kenneth Gainwell in the second quarter approach, and once they saw that it wasn't working as well as Swift was, the production wise, they went back to giving Swift the bulk of the carries again and just figuring, okay, this is what we should be doing. When you look at the snap disparity, Swift had 43 snaps to Gainwell's 37. So it wasn't that far off in terms of, them being on the field that much.
Yeah.
This is what, and good points, John. This is my question. If we're talking about the Minnesota Vikings game, how many carries so we know that Swift had an over exorbitant amount of carries in that
28,
game.
I believe it was.
28 carries in that game. And then now we fast forward to, well, he had some time to heal and everything. 15 days later, and I forgot how many snaps you said it was, John. But so he had 16 carries by DeAndre Swift for 130 yards. Can we argue that giving Kenneth Gainwell 14 snaps, and that's kind of like spilling DeAndre Swift, right? Because we don't want to kill this guy.
Yeah,
like it's week 3. He does have the injury history and things of that nature. I've never seen him play like a full season and stuff like that. What I don't want to see happen is we get to week 8 and DeAndre Swift is out for 4 weeks. And then it becomes like Jordan Matthews, I guess, and Jordan Howard, excuse me. It's like Jordan Howard, and it's like, well, this guy had a stinger, and the stinger went on for 8 weeks, and then all of a sudden you get it back and he is healthy, and then he's a decoy, and that's pretty much the rest we see him. I want DeAndre Swift around like in the playoff times. I'm wondering if that's why we haven't seen Rashad Penny yet. Like maybe we just saving him for when the weather gets bad and when it gets cold outside. But I don't want to see either one of them too much, to be honest with you.
My thing with it is that you can put Kenny Gainwell in for all the snaps that you want. Put Kenny Gainwell in for all, but don't scheme up plays where you'll also have AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, and Dallas Goedert and Jalen Hurts all on the field at the same time. Like, because if you're giving the ball to Kenny Gainwell, use that time that Kenny Gainwell's playing to use him as pass protection, which he's probably better at than DeAndre Swift based on what we've seen. If you are going to scheme up a play directly for Kenny Gainwell, you're wasting the talent of 4 other guys who one of them is outspoken about how much he wants the ball. That's the frustrating thing to me. And that's kind of where my dislike of the idea of Kenny Gainwell came from, where last year they're using him on third downs in critical situations. Like, how about Devontae Smith? How about that one? How about we do that one instead of giving it to this guy? But I'm trying to, like John, I'm trying to stay positive here. and I can't because I get hot. You got any thoughts on Kenny Gainwell, Travis?
Yeah, I was just about to say it's kind of hard to not bring it back to Brian Johnson in the offense. It's just so weird to me that you're in the second quarter and you try to fit in Kenny Gainwell in a bunch of different ways when they could just give it to DeAndre Swift or throw the ball to all the receivers they have, or even try a little more of read option or pass run option with Jalen. And I think that the time where you would want to see Kenny Gainwell would be later in the game, but it felt like, third quarter, once they started pulling away, they kind of just left DeAndre Swift in there a little bit too long. And that's where you would like to see Kenny Gainwell if the coaches really feel like he has some untapped potential and they want to scheme up some plays for him, do it when the game's already put away. And I really have to agree with you, Jake. It started last year for me, and it was just so many downs where it just felt like this is a down where you want to hand the ball off to either Miles Sanders or DeAndre Swift, or throw the ball to one of our, this is probably the best receiving core the Eagles have ever had. There's no better time to throw the ball, and they still just want to hand it off to Kenneth Gainwell, and it's really frustrating. And it felt like there was a lot of times in the game, both in the first and second half, where Brian Johnson was more just calling plays because it was plays that he thought about earlier in the week and wanted to find a spot to squeeze them in, versus him kind of seeing how the game was going and thinking, this is good for now, not this is something that I thought would be good 2 days ago.
Yeah, specifically the 4th and 2 where he handed off to Kenny Gainwell right up the middle. Like, what?
No reason for that.
I like the
absolutely zero reason.
Push on like third down, they didn't get it, so it's like, well, we didn't get it. We're just running on fourth down, get it anyway.
Yeah, there's no reason not to do that.
DeAndre Swift averaged 8 yards per carry last night.
Unreal.
AJ Brown, 9 catches, 131 yards. That's like his 4th highest receiving total as an Eagle. 14 yards per reception, and he didn't have a catch over 50 yards. But this offense sucks, though. Like, I don't get it. Like, it's football. That's all I'm saying. Like, they got NFL stars on the other team, too. You played Bill Belichick in week 1. You got to take some Brian Flores in week 2. You got one of the great defensive minds in the game. He's actually a head coach and everything, but he's actually a defensive coordinator. We all know that, right? He's a defensive coordinator who's been given a job of head coach. Todd Bowles, Brian Flores before that, and Bill Belichick before that, and stuff like that. It's going to be some difficulty from time to time. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I think the thing that stems from saying that the offense sucks is because they in the red zone, they do. 1 for 5 in the red zone yesterday. That is undeniable. Something in the red zone is happening. I don't know what's going on with a change in philosophy. I don't know how you. I don't know. I don't understand it. I don't understand how the red zone can be such a freaking issue. Like it's to say that the offense sucks is incorrect. To say the offense is red zone offense sucks. That is bang. That is dead on.
And I'm putting that on play calling. We like y'all talked about 8 yards per carry for Swift. We're moving up and down the field with the run game, and then we get in the red zone, and it's like pass, and it's like, okay, where's that run game again that we used to get this far in the first place? To the credit of the team, though, we're seeing more improvements. We saw less of the muddy looks at the line that the Vikings threw at us and the Patriots threw at us. They're a little bit more defined in their lineups. The Bucs were, but they still came with the pressure. 75% of the snaps they blitz. That's something we expect from Todd Bowles. He's like a 70% blitzer on average, pretty much. So, which is just crazy, but by far the highest in the league. But they kept Jalen clean 70% of the snaps, which is an amazing job by the offensive line, who looks a little shaky at times over the first couple weeks in pass protection. So it's awesome to see that they came around, played such a great game, and had such a dominant performance against front line for the Bucs, who's supposed to be pretty good, and they are pretty good. I don't want to take that away from them. The Eagles are just that much better.
Yeah, I wonder sometimes if it's Travis, you the scientist, you the matrix. I wonder sometimes, man, if Cam Jurgens is just too small. Like, we know Jason Kelce likes a big right guard to the right of him, and Lane Johnson likes a big right guard to the left of him. Like, Cam Jurgens is good, man, but he's just he is kind of small. Like, he's not a big dude. Like, I know he's doing well, but I wonder about him sometimes. Am I the only one feeling like that, Trav?
I think he's a guy, like, when they drafted him, and I'm pretty sure Howie and the scouting department kind of asked for Kelce's input on drafting a center, or what tools to look for. And I think Kelce being undersized, and then just kind of at the moment, they're really just thinking about him as replacement center of the future. They weren't really thinking about right guard. And I think he's definitely a little small to be a right guard, because with the center, you're snapping the ball, you got to get your arms up quick. You're kind of a little bit, you're pulling, you're sliding. You want someone who's maybe a little bit smaller if you can sacrifice size for athleticism. And I think Jurgens, he's learning how to play a new position in the NFL. He was brought in to be the center, and it's only his second year, but it's really his first. If you think about it, he's more or less just a rookie out there without really having a starting season under his belt. And I think, I think it's really unlikely that you see like Tyler Steen come in and start playing for him. I think that's a guy where as long as he's there and everyone on the O-line's healthy, he'll be there. And he hopefully will not that he's been terrible. Like you said, he's definitely been good. He's been pretty good for us. It's not like he's been causing penalties all the time or allowing sacks, but he's a guy that hopefully, if he just keeps getting more reps week to week, you'll see improvement from him.
Yeah.
Now, talking about that Tyler Steen thing, so Landon Dickerson went down after he absolutely took the soul out of that man when he came across on that pole and just absolutely took that man's head off. I don't know what happened, but I guess, was it a knee? Is that what we found out? Does anybody know for Dickerson?
It's a knee injury. Then they didn't specify the extent of it, but yeah.
Okay, because then Sua Opeta came in, and I saw something today. I'm trying to pull it up because Tyler Steen was a healthy scratch today, but Sua Opeta came in, and it might have been a PFF grade, but I think somebody actually say that again.
He played well.
The stuff that I saw said gave him a pretty low rating. Maybe I could be wrong. For me, it's hard to kind of look at.
Like from what I watching, it looked like he played fine to me. I mean, and then I
feel like I can say this because I've been to the PFF school of data entry and things of that nature. Their family.
Interesting.
It's interesting. It's a nice conversation piece from time to time, and I love those guys to death over there and stuff like that. Sometimes you got to be a little. You gotta take some of that with a little grain of salt because sometimes first contact is you run over guys. Sometimes first contact is a fingertip. So when I saw eyeball test, I know the grades were low, like you said, Jake. For what I saw eyeball test, I thought Sua did well. And if I'm not stressed out by consistent pressure from that side of the line, and I'm not hearing his name on a penalty call like every time, I'm like, the less you mention offensive linemen, unless it's like something glorifying like we always hear about Lane Johnson, unless you hear their names, I feel like the better.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was part of the panic too. They told me the offensive line sucked. So it's like, so I'm saying, it's like things happen in the game. Things happen.
About Cam Jurgens, I think that Cam, he just needs more time. He's not doing like abysmally. He's not so he's not someone who's really costing us right now. So just give him some more time. Let Stout continue to work with him. He is a little smaller, but his athleticism does do some things to help us in the run game. It's the past game where we're really kind of looking at him and kind of let him keep working on that technique and getting a little stronger. We'll see how long he stays at the guard position as the years progress. Kelsey leaves, maybe we just go ahead and slot him back over to guard. But with the things that we've seen Stout do with guys and the talent that he does seem to have, I think that he'll be fine as the season continues to go.
We'll see.
The only real blunder that he's had so far that I've noticed was that, and I think Baldy did a break. Somebody did a breakdown of it. Was the in that game 1 against the Patriots when Matthew Judon came cruising off the side and untouched and got that sack on Jalen. I think it looked like Jurgens blocked the wrong guy, which kind of forced Lane Johnson's hand a little bit. But that's really the only blunder. But yeah, I think he's been.
He saw those red sleeves and was like, "Nah, I don't want that."
Because that's exactly what happened. Lane wasn't credited with a sack on that. Because I think Lane kind of did the right thing there. And it's like Josh said, I think Cam is excellent in the run game. Like I've seen him pull and do some cool stuff and stuff. It's just with time, everybody needs reps. Just like we say, quarterbacks need reps. So do offensive linemen. I think he'll improve as a pass protector with time.
Okay, now moving forward. I know
before we move off the offense, real quick. Jalen Hurts. We all love Jalen. He's coming along. He hasn't been what he's been. Some of the things that I saw in the breakdowns of some of the people who do this stuff for a living on ESPN. This game, he was a little too focused on AJ Brown at times. I hope they cleared that up. And we obviously know the conversation that happened last week against the Vikings on the sideline, where it's like AJ wants the ball. So then the next game, he has 130 yards, but some of them may have been force fed, because I'm looking at some of that footage and where the read should be, and we have on some of those plays Dallas Goedert or Devontae Smith running wide open, and they should be getting the ball in spots where he kind of tried to force it to AJ. So hopefully they look at the film on that stuff as well and continue to iron out those things. So, we do a lot of praising and just a little bit of criticism on Jalen. Not that we don't keep it real all the time, but
yeah, and some scheme too, man. Like that less than 6 yards per reception for Dallas Goedert, is it excusable? Like I I don't understand it. Like I don't understand what we're doing. Like what the hell's happening?
I was really hoping because they had that one play that was right in the middle where it was schemed up for Dallas Goedert and he got 7 yards on. It's like how do we see this happen? How do we see that this works? And then we never go back to it. How do we do that? How do we do that? How do we see that Dallas Goedert's an elite tight end and then we see him do exactly what he's meant to do, and then we don't go back to it? I don't get that, but at least we saw him.
And kind of to John's point, I'm spread the ball around. It's football. We got a lot of stars here. You only got one ball on the field at a time. Pause. But we got the situation here, man, is like run AJ in the right direction. Like, let's try. I was screaming at you guys in the messenger, like, let's run a slant on the goal line. Like, it's there. Just run him in the other direction. Not the fade, but the slant. Let's take him in the other way, and I think we'd have been fine there. But
you mentioned the I think that was Jai. You mentioned the specifically targeting AJ. Now, to be fair, they were also playing some pretty terrible cornerbacks. So if you're seeing AJ Brown specifically picking on this one corner, I don't even remember what the dude's name was, but if you see him specifically picking on that guy, I don't see why not. Do you just feed him? Like I don't see why you wouldn't just feed him.
Because he may be running a 5 or a 7 yard in, and you have a Dallas Goedert running a deep post up the middle of the field wide open. That's why. So there's no corner at all there. Like literally, some of those plays, he's wide open, nobody around him. Go ahead, give him that ball. That's a 20-yard plus gain.
There's probably something to that. Like, yeah, that one
problem all year though. If you think about it, like that's happened a few times. Like Jalen just, as much as we love him, you got to give him credit when it's due. You got to kick him in the tail when that's due too. Like he's just not seeing the field well sometimes.
You got AJ Brown on the right, Devontae Smith on the left. Both of them are being played in man coverage and the single high safety. The safety is shading towards A.J. Brown, and Devontae beats his man on the left side. The ball should be going there, but he's forcing it to A.J. Brown that play. Stuff like that.
Yes, his vision's got to be better. You're right about that.
Yeah, it's hard to wonder how much of that comes from play calling too. If it is like maybe Brian Johnson told AJ he'd get some plays for him in this week, and that's what they did, and Jalen was just going with his read that he was told to go with. But I feel like something that we did a lot last year that I haven't seen a lot of this year either is screens, particularly like tight end screens with Goddard. That seemed to be like kind of have him come back towards the quarterback and do like a quick slip screen through the line with him is something that we haven't really seen either. And Goddard is pretty good at run after the catch as far as tight ends go. There's not really too many guys in the league who do it as good as him.
Yeah.
And it feels like the whole offense, even though it's playing good, it's putting up yards, they're winning games. It feels like they're really just not playing to the strengths of each player. And that's where the frustration from the fan base is coming from.
Yeah. And I mean, but that's
well said.
That's also the thing that goes into it. Why you can feel good about this is that they have not played 100% yet. Like they're still winning by beating a good defense by what in reality should have been 3 scores, but ended up being 2.
A playoff team last year.
A playoff team, correct. I believe Tampa Bay is on the schedule because they were a division winner. I believe, yeah, that would be why they're on there. So yeah. This is one of those parts of the schedule where you're like, okay, these are one of the tougher teams that you got to play because you did well last year, and the Eagles gutted them. So can't be mad about that. Is there anything else anybody has on offense? Olamide Zaccheaus is he's good, man.
I brought highlights.
Hurts. Good protection. Time runs out. Touchdown, Zaccheaus.
Whew.
So that was one of the moments that I stood up.
The whole world had ended. 3-3 in the second quarter.
Oh yeah.
Taylor stands in the pocket, gets murked from the left side.
Phenomenal job.
I know a lot of people hate Joe Buck, man. I love Joe Buck's calls. Like Joe Buck is the
Me too.
Especially like in baseball. I know a lot of people get that dude a hard time, but I love watching. I don't watch the Manning cast because I want to. But time runs out.
I'm not a Joe Buck guy.
Like that's my guy. That's my guy. I love Joe Buck to death, man. But it was at that point, and that was something. Since we're talking about that's something Jalen did right. Like I think this was said on the broadcast. That's probably not where that ball should have gone. He kind of threw Zacchaeus open on that one and everything, and it results in his first touchdown of the season and stuff. So I gave him a game ball this morning, but hoping Quez didn't get Wally pipped.
I'm not mad if he did that. But the other play that was earlier that drive too, where Jalen's going crazy in the backfield. And then it looks like it's a throwaway. I thought that was a throwaway, but then sure enough, 13's right there to grab it, man.
Yeah, second down. Zacchaeus 28 yards on that one, I think.
Nope. No, it wasn't a toe tapper necessarily. It wasn't a Devontae Smith toe tapper where he's dragging his feet as he's going out, but that was good.
He was kind of hugging the sideline. He actually turned that into a little bit more yardage than he got some white yak on that one, but it was a nice play. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. Was that his only? Yeah, that was his only 2 catches. That was his 2 catches.
2 catches. That's it. That's all I need.
Perfect.
I'm totally fine with that. But I'm thinking that's it. We talked a glaring lack of Rashad Penny. There, you know what? And I don't want to keep harping on the running back thing, but they are using what it seems like they're using Kenny Gainwell to be a hammerhead, like we were talking about, like the Jordan Howard role. How about you use Rashad Penny to do that? The guy just wants to mash people into the ground, and instead you got him in there being one half of the tush push. He's a cheek grabber. He's more than cheeks. He's not cheeks. Let the man smash.
If you're a running back in this Eagles offense, you better get in from like the 10 or the 15 yard line. You better break some 20 yards because if it gets down to the goal line, you will not get the ball.
Did you watch that mic'd up thing with Devontae Smith last week when he's talking to DeAndre Swift? He said, "You better get in now because you're not going to have another chance." Like we're absolutely all thinking that. That's good.
Yes, indeed. All right. Defense.
I'm not here to brag, but some people were correct about whether or not they were going to put James Bradbury at the nickel corner. Some people were right about it. I'm not going to say who it was in the top.
Was it you?
It was. If you're gonna give me the roses, I'll take them, man. It was me. Was it necessarily a good idea? Josh Jobe didn't look hot. Josh Jobe did not look hot.
No, he had some struggles out there, but yeah, what are you
supposed to do? You had Slay out there. You had Bradbury in the slot. Good call on that one, Jake.
Yeah.
I said put the R Pro on the outside and everything. You had James Bradbury on the slot.
At the end of the day,
who else are they going to go to?
Jeff, earlier you said how many yards again of total offense do the Bucs have?
174, I believe it was. Let me double check.
Mike Evans had like 175 last week by himself. So I mean,
they played the Bears
at the end of the day, but still at the end of the day, you know, holding the team to 174 is. So Josh Jobe didn't look phenomenal, but it wasn't anything that ended up really hurting the Eagles in a major way.
Chris Godwin had 3 catches for 32 yards,
which breaks his streak, I believe. Didn't he have a streak going of like multiple games with 5+ catches?
Who, Mike Evans?
Yeah, no. Chris Godwin. I believe he had a pretty good streak.
Like but 3 for 32. Rachaad White 3 for 24. Cade Otton 1 for 16. Mike Evans 5 for 60. That's what I thought was phenomenal. I was like, there's no way you're keeping him under like 100. But holding Mike Evans for 5 catches to 60 yards, and then you had the one where he's like, you know, he's riding. Reed Blankenship full of life. Sometimes you just got to go in the meat room like, hey, dude, sometimes you just lose. Sometimes.
Yeah, I saw that, and when they did the slow-mo where he's like laying on, like Mike Evans is laying on Reed Blankenship's back. I'm like, how does Reed Blankenship have the wherewithal to know that this guy has the ball and to tackle him right afterwards? Like if that happened to me, well, number one, I'd get crushed because he's 5 or 6'5". But like if I would be like my brain's like, there's no way that ball is overthrown. There's no way he did that. But sure enough, man, that was.
Jobe had some tough looking plays in there and stuff. Just to answer your question, Jake, in it. But I'm overall satisfied with what I saw from him. They're going to go after him just like the Bucs were missing. It was Carlton Davis, I believe his name is.
Yep.
Yeah. So
they're missing him. So Philly kind of did the same thing. They went right after.
They went right after my dog,
and they won with that matchup. So I was kind of satisfied with it, but yeah, I'm not. I'm not at all worried about anything I saw from Josh Jobe. I feel like, it's they're gonna take some lumps. But this is basically his first year as a starter. But I'm satisfied with what I'm seeing so far.
I just want to say, can the Washington Commanders next week honor Jason Campbell or someone at halftime with these teams keep honoring the guys as Rondé Barber, Tom Brady first week, and we keep ruining the night for them. I'm very much enjoying that. Let's get some more honor ceremonies going on for our opponents this year.
Did you catch that thing? I don't know if they said it after the game. Maybe it's like when SVP was interviewing Troy and Joe. I guess Rondé Barber thanked the Eagles fans for coming out at the halftime thing. It's like, all right, well, your team just got smoked, so shut up.
He's still a little salty about getting booed at the Super Bowl. Like, these guys are sensitive. Like, as tough as they are, these guys are very sensitive.
Well, let's hope that Dak Prescott feels the same way because he got booed while he was getting his Walter Payton Man of the Year, which I love. I love that.
he came off soft too with those comments after they lost to the Cardinals.
Yeah.
That to me was a chink in the armor. It's unlike Dak to say things like that in the media. For him to make those comments. He's like, looks like the media got what they wanted, and the media, y'all put us, high on the pedestal or this and that, and it was just like a lot of the media was talking about how good you are. So, are you saying that you're not good, or because that's what they were saying?
Hey, dummy, you're the one who said you weren't going to throw 10 interceptions this year. What are you talking about?
Your boy Micah Parsons he said something like Super Bowls aren't won in September. No, that was Micah Parsons. So Super Bowls aren't won in September. There's a whole bunch of excuse making going on when they're the
Super Bowls are.
They're
the September champions.
They're the ones who keep talking about it too, like the Super Bowl thing. They've talked about it so much this offseason, and now they're like, "What? We can't talk about Super Bowls now? It's not one. Whatever, man."
And maybe it's just me. Like, now I'm sitting here thinking about it. When was the last time you heard from a Cowboys fan? Was it Sunday? I hadn't heard from them in a couple of days. That's typical Cowboys fan stuff. That's
classic Cowboys.
Don't worry, they'll be back on Wednesday, being like, all right, time to get real. But let's keep talking defense. We're talking about the secondary. Let's talk safeties. Who was it? Sidney Brown. After I guess he got hurt on that pass breakup, which was incredible. The guy's Sidney. You're a maverick, man. That guy lightning on a bot. That guy, holy Christ! And he comes across and seems like Mike Evans probably should have still caught that thing, but Sidney Brown's there to just screw everything up. Who came in after him? Do we remember?
Well, Justin Evans went down, and then
Terrell Edmonds maybe went in.
Sidney and Terrell was kind of like alternating snaps and everything. So it was just a lot of Terrell Edmonds after that.
Yeah,
because it was kind of like a Sidney Brown, Terrell Edmonds.
Combo.
I'm worried about Justin Evans. That's a neck injury. You never want to hear that.
Yeah.
Edmonds ended up with 41 snaps.
That's so. I mean, this is one thing.
47.
Yeah, and Sidney's got the thigh injury and stuff like that. But to what your point was, Jake, like excellent on the pass breakup. Like those are the little things that help decide games later. Like you getting 3 there instead of 7. That's huge.
Yeah, I mean, so far it's been him and Reed have been doing so good. Like Reed, buddy, that guy can play ball.
No pun intended, but what a read on that play to come up with that interception. That was a great read, a great catch, a great play. For him to come through the preseason, we heard he had like 4 interceptions in the preseason, and for that to translate and his second game of the year since obviously he missed the Vikings game, like that's awesome, and you love to see it.
He only came up and had like 1 missed tackle, but he was getting tackles at the line, and I'm trying to see if he had anything.
And he will hit you. I love that about Reed.
I could be jumping the gun totally here and everything, but like I thought about Reed for a while, man, and this may not be the right thing to say at this time, man, but I think about some of those great undrafted NFL legends like John Randall and stuff, and I'm not saying put him in a John Randall or any class like that or anything yet, but he's going to be good, and he's going to be good for a long time, and I think it's obvious.
Talking undrafted guys, that the guy that Josh Hill was talking to us about last week, I believe was he the Buccaneers nickel corner, the Christian Isian. How do you spell his last name?
Enough.
Yeah, whatever the hell it is.
Isian, I believe it is.
Guy's got that guy can ball too. Man, he was flying all right. He was pretty dangerous.
Yeah.
Most complete performance from the defense that we've seen thus far. Is it a coincidence that it comes after, we get Bradbury and Reed Blankenship back into the secondary, weren't there for the Vikings game. And so, not having to adjust on the fly either with Avonte going down during the game. You just come in with a game plan with your guys. You're 3 games into game planning and getting acclimated to Sean Desai and how he's calling things, and everybody played well. Linebackers streaming through those gaps that the defensive line is creating, doing their job. And, like we talked about in the preseason, right? We saw Cunningham come in, Morrow coming in and just diving through those holes. You tackle guys for 2 yards or less. It's last 2 games, the Eagles are running the ball. I think the stat is 31 first downs rushing, through the last 2 games. The opposition, 1 first down rushing. They cannot run the ball on us.
Yeah, I know that. And the thing is, it's like same thing. Like we're talking about the offense and everything. We're talking about struggles and all the things that can be fixed and stuff. Like you realize Hassan Reddick ain't even got going yet. Like we're not talking about Hassan Reddick. We're not talking about Brandon Graham. That's gonna happen. And I think it's a little bit of what you said, John. I think it's getting your best players back. Like obviously, coaches look better when they got better players on the field, but at the same time too, I kind of chalk it up to, I believe those first 2 games kind of equated to that preseason that the Eagles lost because you didn't play anybody. So you got to shake some rust off in those first 2 games. And if you saw the trend around the league where nobody was playing anybody, nobody looked good. Like Kansas City lost their first game. Like they finally got things clicking last week because they didn't really look good in their second either. Like you look around the league, like especially those first 2 games, going to NFL Plus, like everybody, there was a lot of bad football being played.
Oh yeah,
I believe that's the reason why.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. What about you, Travis? What are your thoughts on defensive secondary or defense?
I was actually about to bring up Hassan Reddick. It's on one hand, it's definitely scary. He has 1 tackle so far this season. I think he has a QB hit as well. And while the edge rushers like Josh Sweat really hasn't been a name that we've heard too much either, none of the edge rushers really have. But we have a trio of interior defenders who could be the best in NFL history, probably, if you think about it. I mean, Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis, they're right now, as it sits, they're the 2 highest graded defenders on Pro Football Focus, if you do care about those numbers, which Jalen Carter is actually the only Eagle on defense that was above a 90. He was like 92.5, I think. And
so good.
The 3 of them, they've combined for 3 forced fumbles. They've 3.5 sacks and 4 tackles for loss. I mean, you can't run up the middle of the offensive line. And when you try to throw, the middle of the offensive line collapses every time. It's really hard to beat that. And I feel like just disruptors on the inside, that's what we got.
Why did they keep trying to run the ball on first down? Every time. There's so many times that Jordan Davis, he didn't even have to tackle. He just held on to him and tipped over.
Honest, to some extent, I believe in, man, because it's like you just can't be, even though it's not working, you kind of have to stay with it and stuff because you really want to get at this Eagles team and be like, they know that you're going to throw every single down.
Don't run at their teeth.
All these monsters they got. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, it's like, when do you run the ball, right? Run it on second down.
Now, Sweat looked good in those first 2. He had the half sack in the first one. He had a ton of pressures. Had a ton of pressures in the second game. He forced that fumble and stuff. I'm waiting on Brandon Graham to pop off. I'm waiting on Hassan Reddick, but I believe it was just you, Travis, used the word scary. Like Jalen Carter, man.
Oh.
And I told y'all, this is going to piss a lot of Eagles fans off. Everybody keeps saying, Jerome Brown. I love Jerome Brown. Jerome Brown was great and probably would have been a Hall of Famer had he not been taken from us before his time. May he continue to rest in peace. Jerome Brown was not the pass rusher that Jalen Carter is. He wasn't.
Did you see the full speed replay of when he punched that fumble out?
It's incredible.
The ball carrier was getting turned towards him, and he just punched while he was still spinning around. And the second the ball was there, it was
Right.
in his fist. Like,
That
there's
wasn't by
no, you
accident.
can't
That was skill.
coach that.
You can't do anything against
That's
that.
skill.
He charged up his
That's
Falcon Punch,
instinct.
and the guy was stunned from a
Skill
Jigglypuff song, and he just got the ball just popped out of. Oh my god! Mwah, mwah, mwah. Oh, loved it. That was
I like that dude, man. He's gonna be.
And he's smart.
I'm putting him in the Hall of Fame now. He's gonna be.
Yes.
He's playing less than 50% of the snaps.
And he's smart. You know, again, I watch this stuff all day where they're breaking some of this stuff down, and they're showing how pre-snap the Bucs are aligned in a certain way to try to fool your eyes as the defender. And before the snap, he's making gestures pointing to the direction that he knows the play is actually going. And, you know, he sees it. That's film study. That's smarts. That's
Absolutely
getting it and understanding what the offense is trying to do to you and, you know, what you have to do to counter it, because he was there in Baker's face when he came around on that roll after the misdirection. And
man,
the Bears passed him twice.
This was
Bears passed him twice in the same draft. Like, no wonder y'all suck. Like, I don't understand it, man. Like, I'm glad we got him. I'm glad we got him because I will put him in the jar random class. Like, that dude's gonna be phenomenal. Like, and even when he isn't getting off the line, like, when you can, if you haven't already seen it, go on Twitter and look at. People are just throwing this shot of like him up, what he was doing while the safety was going on. And look at two guys basically got holding him. Two guys got him in the bear hug. It's like, this is what Jalen Carter was doing. That's how Nicholas Morrow got in.
It's beautiful. You talking about the Bears passing on him twice. I also saw something because I love this kind of stuff. Like, I have a theory of my own how Mizzou's quarterback Matty Mock was addicted to cocaine, and that specifically led to the Eagles getting Devontae Smith. I have a whole theory there. But it's something about the Browns, or not the Browns, the Lions getting Jahmyr Gibbs led to the Eagles getting Jalen Carter and DeAndre Swift, which there's so much of this stuff. It's going to be so regrettable for everybody for a long time, because this is just Jalen Carter's third game. It's his third.
And he's still not playing the majority of snaps. 21 snaps out of the possible 47.
Less than 50%.
Imagine, like we all saw the Myles Garrett getting trailed by the two tight ends in that game, which is hilarious. Imagine Jalen Carter getting that much attention, man. There's so much,
and he's already getting a lot because he's getting double teamed on that half sack that he got yesterday. He was being double teamed, and he still got back there about the same time as Josh Sweat or whoever it was. I can't remember.
I think it was Fletch.
Fletch, yeah, still got back there like the same exact time while dealing with the double team. I'm like, man.
And watch Jordan Davis more when you get a chance too. Like, Jordan Davis, they try to move him off spots. He doesn't go anywhere.
It's
you
so
can't run
great.
Around him.
What do you
can't
do?
Push him.
This is the exact conversation we had on Friday. What do you do with Vita Vea? Well, what do you do against Jordan Davis? The guy, it's unreal.
So we put this on the Facebook page. Jalen Carter through 3 weeks, 15 pressures. That's second in the NFL out of all defensive tackles. 1.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 2 quarterback hits, 2 tackles for loss, and he's playing less than 50% of the snaps.
It's unbelievable.
The only defensive tackle with more pressures than him, Javon Hargrave.
Yep,
with 18.
Yep, he's right there, man. He's right there.
And imagine if he was playing as many snaps as Hargrave is probably playing.
Almost a 1-for-1 replacement for Javon Hargrave.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what a!
Except you don't have to pay him right now, and he's younger. He's only going to get better. And Hargrave he's past his prime.
It's so good. It's so good. Do you guys have any other notes on defense? I know we didn't talk about linebackers too much. It wasn't a huge linebacker game other than Nicholas Morrow getting the safety.
But that's essentially what I talked about in the preseason, right? It's like the linebackers are going to be expected to do a little bit less. They're just not the highlight of the team, and because the front line is so good, they don't have to be. But just credit to Sean Desai. We talked about the coordinators coming in and the trouble that we may have losing 5 starters on defense, blah blah blah, and he's doing a great job. I think he's doing a really good job. The offense is what needs to catch up, but like we discussed, the talent is so apparent. There's so much talent on the team that we're still able to overcome and win games by double digits, by multiple scores, while trying to get the offense acclimated. So Sean Desai, I think, deserves all the praise and respect in the world. Doing phenomenal.
I agree. Let's go on to special teams here real quick. Jai, you're going to love this. Number one, before we get into Britton Covey, my bold prediction before the season of Jake Elliott getting to 150 points this year. He's currently at 34. So I'm just keeping tabs on that. But Britton Covey, Britton Covey. Jai, you had something you wanted to say.
I've always been a huge Britton Covey supporter. Look, this is the thing. This isn't hot take central, right? We don't say things just to say things. We react to the information that we have. We make certain assessments based on what we see. I said what I said initially because that's how I felt. This year, he's been doing very well. I have nothing bad to say about Britton Covey. I think he's doing a great job this year returning the ball. And shout out to him because that's what I want. That's the squad. I don't want them to be terrible. So great job, Britton Covey. Keep it up.
Britton Covey, since week 13 of 2022, 291 punt return yards. That's first in the NFL. 14.6 punt return average. That's first in the NFL. 13 punt returns of 10 plus yards. That's first in the NFL. 9 punt return yards of 15 plus yards. That's first in the NFL. First in the NFL in 20 plus yard returns. First in the NFL with 25 yard punt returns. So
I say we take credit for it. We know we were picking on Britton Covey. We had a right to.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, listen, if he gets hit,
Covey earned every bit of criticism we gave him. He was crash test dummy for a reason. Like,
yep.
Yeah,
a
lot of those numbers.
We'll take credit for that.
When you just look at those and read those numbers, it sounds like, oh, he's always been doing great. What's John talking about? But when you actually were watching,
he earned the criticism we gave him.
Exactly. It's like, should that have been more? Yes, it most likely should have been. When you watch games where guys are returning stuff for touchdowns, it's like we can't get there because the guy's acceleration isn't there. Maybe he's not. Like the coverage for the blocking scheme has been great. That's something we have to give credit to the special teams coach over. He's getting those guys put in a position to line things up for Britton Covey to get 10 plus yards. All that stuff works in tandem. But some of those other returns last year, I was like, that should have been more. That should have been more than it was good. I like it. It's better than a fair catch, but it should have been more.
One other thing, Devin Allen played and realized that nobody actually cares about the Olympics because he played
that was funny.
Yeah, he decided to return the ball out of the end zone and made it to the 15-yard line.
I don't care about Devin Allen. That's the move.
Yeah,
I couldn't believe he was in the game.
I mean, Boston
Devin Allen couldn't believe Devin Allen was in the game.
Yeah, Boston Scott was out with the concussion, so they had Devin Allen, I guess, was the reason there. But, buddy, nobody cares about, congratulations with the hurdles, dude.
I'm going to give Devin Allen the same thing that we gave Cam Jurgens earlier in the show. He's going to need reps. He's still new to this. He's not true to this.
I don't think he's going to get those reps if this defense keeps playing the way it is. I mean,
facts. I'm okay with that though.
Yeah, I'm fine with Devin Allen not progressing.
I hope he doesn't get him.
Exactly. I'm okay with that.
All right, that was the last thing I had. Okay,
we got a debut segment this week.
Yeah, we got a debut segment right now. I can find it. Oh, Jaws, baby. Look at that picture of you.
Oh yeah.
This should be fun. What you got, John?
All right, look, Pete. There's been a lot of complaining. They talked about it in the off season. Is the tush push, or from what I hear is growing in popularity on Reddit, the brotherly shove? Is it fair or not? Okay, I've just had enough of this conversation. One of the things that Tom Brady was super good at and did all the time, the QB sneak. A quarterback sneak has been a staple in football forever. I don't understand why now all of a sudden, because the Eagles are super good at it, that it has to be this hot button topic, this issue that needs to be discussed at length. But it's ridiculous. I think we need to move off of harping on this. You're mad because they're also pushing him. So are we taking pushing out of the NFL? Because if DeAndre Swift is running for a first down and they start to gang tackle him and Jordan Mailata runs up behind him and starts pushing him for extra yardage, those are things that have been also happening in the league forever, and nobody complains about the gang tackle push. So I don't understand why we're mad at this. Cut it out. Get over it. You've had 4 other teams in week 1 try it, and it didn't work for them because they don't have the skilled players and the people up front to pull it off, because there is skill, technique to it. Stop hating, stop it, or shut up.
I love it.
Jaws to y'all's ears.
I love it.
Well said, Coach.
I love it. All right. Does anybody else have any? Does anybody else have anything we want to add? We're gonna end it right there.
Hey, I don't even think nothing needs to be said after that. It's a legal play. The NFL says it's legal.
Has been since
Don't get mad
2005.
because we're better than anybody else.
If the defense can push, then the offense can push. Simple as that.
I love it.
Who's that?
Awesome. Thank you guys very much for hanging out with us on this Monday, September 26th. Your Philadelphia Eagles are 3-0, baby. I didn't do that right. 3-0. That's how we do it. I was looking in the camera and it's whatever. You guys get it. Celebrate. The next game is on Sunday. It's a divisional game against the Washington Commanders. Let's get ready for that. Thank you guys very much again for hanging out with us. That's Travis Williams. That's Jalil Williams. That's Jeffrey Knox. My name's Jake Beckman. Y'all have a good night. Go Birds.
Go Birds, baby.